All right. Good evening, Mount Airy. Today is February 7th, 2022, and I'll call this Town Council meeting to order. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 23, and it can also be viewed at www.carrollmediacenter.org, as well as the town's Facebook page. If everyone can please stand for the pledge, and we'll go ahead and get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We will begin with Captain Nathan Rolfe with his Civil Air Patrol. Captain, thank you for joining us this evening.
Very much, our council members. This is our report for January 2022. The squad did not have any missions assigned to it during this month. Have anything significant to report for community support this time. We did have that members achieved their first milestone promotions. They completed over 20 man-hours of radio communications training and practical exercise. We have lifetimes to report for this month. Our membership growth includes one new senior member and one new cadet, bringing our total to 38 for the month. For operational status, we do remain in phase 1 according to our students. For restricted and smart. However, the preference vaccinations and other safety precautions have allowed us to actually expand our meeting groups to 25 indoors, which is up from 10 earlier this month, and a lot of us continued to train. Our town team remains capable during the COVID restrictions. As far as activities on the horizon, we are still planning to blood drive. However, that was pushed up to the right due to some logistical circumstances. And we are state level research and research science. Any questions that are important?
Do any of the council members have any questions for the captain?
No. Yes, sir.
Well, fantastic. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate your time. Council members, we'll move into community concerns and citizen comments, and we do have a small audience here this evening with us. So if anyone here has any community concerns that would like to address the council, now is this time. Please state your name and address, please, for the record.
Dick Swanson, 1107 South Main Street, and I want to talk about two subjects somewhat related. The first one is your amendment for Center Street water main replacement, which there's a request in that for a amendment to that contract to do 300 feet of pipe expansion down Prospect, I think from 8 to 10 inches, or 6 to 8 inches. My concern with that is that this is funded out of the American Rescue Plan, as I see in the town engineer's report. However, there was an ordinance passed specifically identifying where that money would go, of which this was not a project. My question on this is, do you have to pass a amendment to the budget through an ordinance in order to transfer funds from the American Rescue Plan, I&I specific projects, to this specific project for expanding a water line? I think my opinion is you're required to do that as part of the budget process. My second one is same basic issue, which is the culvert. And there is a recommendation to allocate money, I believe, for $41,590 for engineering. That also is stated in here to come out of the American Rescue Fund plan finances. That project is not part of what was passed. And again, I believe that would probably require you to pass an ordinance in order to move the funds. And I don't see an ordinance on the agenda.
Thank you, Dick.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Do any other citizens or residents have any comments?
Sorry. Yes, my name is Lindy Brown, 201 Lookout, Lindy Brown Camerata, so it's only taken me 23 years. 201 Lookout Avenue, and I am here this evening to request your vote for my renewal on Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll just come up. I just, real quick, Roxanne Hemphill. I'm coming as the planning chair. I just want to remind everyone that we're having our first public charrette next Monday evening. This is part of the MXD CUU text amendment that we had. It's kind of exciting. You're going to be able to meet with the developer and see the plans. This is for the Greenway property. It will be
Green tree.
here.
Green tree.
Green Tree, I'm sorry.
No worries.
That's another thing. That'll be here in Town Hall. And I encourage, if you have any questions, any concerns, please come. You'll be able to meet with the developer. And we're very happy to start this process.
Thank you. And 7 p.m. here.
Yes.
And we'll keep an eye on, or at least town will keep an eye on the amount of people, just to make sure that everybody is safe. But
Yes, we'll probably, it might be a little inconvenience for a little while. We might have to, some people might have to come in and look and ask questions and
Sure.
then go out. But we want as many people as possible to come and give their input to the developer.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder. We appreciate it. All right. Not seeing anyone else, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Council members, this will be the approval for council meeting minutes and closed meeting minutes for January 2022, January 2022 Town Council meeting minutes, as well as January 2022. This will include both closed meeting minutes. One of the closed meeting minutes was to obtain legal advice, and then the other one was acquisition of real property. I will make a motion to pass those. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second was by Councilwoman Reed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Jason, there was actually 3 closed meeting minutes at that meeting. The third one carried over on the second page. I'm sorry.
My apologies. We'll just do a quick, I'll amend my motion to include the third. Is there a second on that one?
Aye.
All right, Councilwoman Reed seconds. We'll revote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? My apologies, I missed that one on the second page.
Thank you.
Next up will be the Mount Airy Police Department monthly report given to us by Chief Reitz. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chief Reitz with the Mount Airy Police Department monthly report. Start off with trainings completed during the month and meetings attended. I did attend the Maryland Chiefs of Police General Membership meeting on January 19th and also attended a MSIN meeting on the 20th. And on January 31st, I attended a Maryland State Police NIBRS tool demonstration, these were all virtual. And we'll get into a little bit about NIBRS, a little bit more on in my report, because there's some changes coming up with the way crimes are reported to the federal government, the FBI. So they're basically modernizing and re-implementing another system because the other older system, the Uniform Crime Report system, is kind of archaic and outdated. So they modernized everything. It's bringing forth some changes. Community outreach, we did submit our annual Mount Airy Police Department community policing report to the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. That's an annual submission that's required by law. Also provided everybody with copies in the packet, as well as what that report entails. Also, just a reminder to everybody that the prescription drop box is at the police station for medication disposal. It seems to be a very popular location this month. We've had a lot of people dropping things off, so that's good. As far as Activities, this month we handled 670 calls for service. This is a slight decrease from December and an increase from, or I'm sorry, it's also a decrease from last year this time as well. As far as traffic enforcement, we had 52 total traffic stops this month, total of 25 citations, issued 57 warnings, and 4 equipment repair orders. Out of those traffic stops, we did make 2 DUI arrests and 1 other traffic arrest. I'll get into the NIBRS information a little bit. Basically, like I explained, the FBI is changing over from the Uniform Crime Report model to a NIBRS, which is a National Incident-Based Reporting System. That's what the acronym stands for. This implementation has occurred to improve overall quality of crime data collection by law enforcement. NIBRS captures details on each single crime incident as well as on separate offenses within the same incident. Kind of to further explain that, in the UCR model, there was a hierarchy of offenses where you might have several crimes that occurred in that incident. They only counted the most serious one for your crime stats. And NIBRS will account for every crime that occurs during a reported incident, which again may result in having several crimes being reported. Additionally, Part 1 crimes now is going to be known as Group A offenses, and Part 2 offenses will now be considered Group B offenses. The list of Group A offenses has been expanded to include 28 total offense categories made up of 71 different offenses, as opposed to the previous, it was only 7 crimes before. So Part 1 crime was rather limited. So what's this really mean? You're going to see the crime rate appear to jump. But what it is, they're incorporating more crimes into it. So it's not just the 7 crimes anymore. You have 71 different offenses that qualify as Group A offenses. So you're going to see a big jump there. So with that said, during the month of January, we handled 24 Group A offenses, and again, like I said, it's going to jump. It appears that there's a lot more, but in reality, it's not. It's just because of reclassification. And normally, we're seeing 3 to 6 or so Part 1 offenses, but now it's changed a little bit. So out of those Part 1 or Group A offenses, we reviewed our NIBRS data, and the most prevalent crime was found to be fraud. So we had 10 incidents of fraud this month. A close second was larceny theft with 6 cases. Assaults and narcotics offenses were third with 3 each. And then the destruction and vandalism was fourth with 2 reported incidents. Again, fraud is basically a crime of obtaining goods, services, and items through deceit and lying. So it's a form of larceny theft, but you're using deceit and so forth, something else to go along with just the taking of items. So during the month also, we made 6 criminal apprehensions, and for the overdose report, we did have 1 overdose during the month. If it was opioid related, we're not sure at this point. It was in the 1300 block of South Main Street, and Narcan was administered by EMS. So that will be the police department report. Does anybody have any questions?
Not question, but a comment, and this is probably something I will beat to death until it's corrected, but the U-turns on South Main Street and Rising Ridge continue to be a problem. Speaking on behalf of the residents, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a serious safety issue, to the point where I saw somebody make a U-turn in front of one of our officers the other day, and they didn't pull him over. So are we ticketing people that are making these illegal U-turns, or are we just giving them a warning?
Well, we're at the point now where we are issuing citations for the violations. The education period is over, and the officers have stepped up their enforcement on that as well. I can't really comment to that because I don't know what the specifics are. It could have been the officer was going on a call or any other number of reasons that he might not have actually, been attentive to it. So, but
maybe a conversation with Streets and Roads, but the digital sign that says no U-turns is not working. It's completely ineffective. I don't know if additional signage is needed, but it is a problem. I literally can stand in my kitchen window and in the course of 5 minutes watch 10 cars turn around. So it's
I would agree with you. It is, unfortunately, it's kind of hard for us, with the limited staffing that we have to have someone there all the time. The one real thing that's going to fix it is
The circle.
and with the engineering and design and so forth, that's what's
Well,
really
so,
going to be.
and while you may hear me bring this up every month, I'm hoping that there is a possibility to expedite the installation of the circle, because that's the only thing that's going to correct it.
Yes, I would agree.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to address what she just said. Streets and roads, I did call staff. They were, Public Works does the sandwich boards, and I did contact the head of Public Works when they burned out over the holidays, but he was sick. So as soon as he came back, I think I spoke to the town administrator. They recharged it or whatever they need to do and got it back up there. So it did go dead for a couple weeks, but that's also when we had a lot of staff out and there was nobody to charge that. So I believe it's back up,
Yeah, but working or dead, it doesn't work.
back up. And I'll address more of that in my report. But I did have one question on here, on your report. I saw a vehicle theft. Have we had vehicle thefts before? There's listed as
We've
one.
had vehicle thefts before, but nothing lately, so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's actually part of the NIBRS and the UCR crime reporting. That's one of the crimes,
Okay.
one of the enumerated crimes that they do track
okay.
in the Group A offenses now, yes.
Yeah, that was a question, so I'm glad you clarified that, because I noticed that jump all of a sudden in the Group A to a really high amount compared to.
Right, right.
So thank you. for
Yeah, and I
clarifying
wanted
that.
to explain that to everybody so they have
I'm
a
glad you did,
clear
because I was
idea,
like,
so,
whoa.
Right. So
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other council members?
Yes, a quick question, Chief. So the fraud offenses, can you just talk a little bit more about that? What are they? Is it phone fraud, in-person fraud?
It's a mix. Some of the cases we've been experiencing, it's, ATM. A lot of it's check fraud, going into a bank and cashing a check that either through some type of identity theft or fraudulent check, they're cashing them. That was the most prevalent. But you have theft, theft by deception, like identity theft schemes, credit card, ATM theft fraud. There's several different categories of fraud type thefts.
Any just reminders you want to give citizens about what to watch out for and how to protect information and such?
Correct. Yeah, yes. The big thing is to not present personal information over a phone or via email or any type of social media or anything like that, and be very wary of phone scams. A lot of times you get the phone calls, hey, so-and-so needs money, they're in jail, or you have an arrest warrant out for you. There's all the number of scams that are out there are almost limitless, and they're just at the mercy of the criminal's imagination, basically. So you need to be very, very careful. A lot of these phone calls, you just don't respond to them. Don't present any personal information, no credit card information, no birth dates and phone numbers and addresses should be going forth over the phone, so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Have a great evening. Next up will be Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report, and this is presented by Bruce Waltz. Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening. For the month of January, rescue calls, we had 100 in Carroll, 47 in Frederick, 3 in Howard, 2 in Montgomery, for a total of 152. Fire calls, 11 in Carroll, 12 in Frederick, 3 in Howard, 5 in Montgomery, for a total of 31 calls. So that gave us a total of 111 calls in Carroll, 59 in Frederick, 6 in Howard, 7 in Montgomery, for 183 calls for service. We're starting to see a downturn in the number of calls for service. So hopefully the surge is over and we'll be able to get back to a more normal load and also have a more reasonable offloading time at the hospitals, which was a very big concern that we had to face during the surge of the pandemic. I wanted to just mention that you may have heard on the news that there's a critical need for blood, and I wanted to remind everybody that the fire company sponsors a blood drive with the American Red Cross every other month. And so the next one will be on the 15th of March at the reception hall. We usually post the information on the electronic sign. And so I encourage people to sign up for that. You can go to redcrossblood.org and put in your zip code and they'll get you signed up for that. And also the number will be posted on the sign as well. But I do encourage people to participate in that. And if you maybe you're feeling a little weak before you go to get blood, on March 4th, you can go to the auxiliary dinner, drive-through, fried chicken and fried shrimp at the reception hall.
Good to know. Thank you, Bruce.
Any questions?
Just one, Bruce. How has the fire company, have they been handling the recent uptick in cases pretty good? I mean, have they been short-staffed or anything?
We've been fine on the EMS side because we have paid staff
Okay.
that has handled the brunt of that. And also, you may not be aware, but we now have an active county fire department.
Kind of.
Yeah, there's the Carroll County Department of Fire and Rescue Services, and they have a director, a full-time director, and he managed a lot of the surge issues by moving units and things of that nature, and we participated in that, so that helped. Like all volunteer fire departments, if you've been reading anything in the news or listened to NPR, there's an article, a story about it, we're all facing a shortage of volunteers. There's a critical shortage throughout the state and throughout the region and the nation on volunteers. And I think, the issues around the pandemic and changes in society and people's willingness to volunteer has decreased. And so that's something that the county fire department is looking at. And I participated in their plans to create a strategic plan. We had a number of working groups and things of that nature. So they're going to have a comprehensive plan that they'll submit to the commissioners of Carroll County, and also we'll be working with them. But again, I encourage anyone that wants to volunteer to please consider joining the fire company. We certainly can use the personnel.
What is the minimum age that someone can start volunteering at the fire company? 16, okay.
Carl,
We have a junior program actually from 12 to 16.
Okay.
And Carl, there's no upper limit too.
Right.
Oh, there's no
That's what I was
upper
just
level.
saying. Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Carl will be up there tomorrow with fried chicken. All right. All right, council members, we'll move into new business. First up is the amended Center Street water main replacement. This will be presented by our town engineer, Barney Quinn. Barney, a little overview, please.
Sure. So,
Can you just make sure your mic is on?
thank you. I
Thank
did turn
you.
it off.
All right, I appreciate it.
For the old bank building down here, we have a brewery that's wanting to come in, and we have a failing intersection with the traffic coming eastbound up Prospect Road towards Main Street. And we need to correct that. At the same time, they're going to need an extra lane coming up there, a dedicated right, dedicated left. Two of those combined, when you add the extra traffic that's going to be for the brewery over the bank building, that could be, become a lot worse than it is today. So there's that need for that project. In preparation for that, we're wanting to do the water main, get it done, get all the underground work done, out of the way before looking at widening the street and then resurfacing. As far as Dick Swanson had mentioned about the ARPA funds, the Center Street water main, I don't know if everybody's aware, I know some are aware, we were going to replace from Watkins Park all the way to Cross Street, and then also do Cross Street on Center Street from Watkins Park. What we found was from Watkins Park all the way up to where the future back drive would be, that line is already a 12-inch main. We did not have to upgrade that. So that was a cost savings of $135,830. What we're asking for is $165,000. It's a $29,000 more than the original, but it's not $165,000 more than the original. It's within 3% of the original bid. We're not talking about a significant dollar amount. We're just trying to utilize the same ARPA funds that we would have on a very similar project. So that's that's what we're looking at doing here.
Okay.
And so we're looking to award that to Ross Contracting under the same contract, just be a change order to the contract, as the deduct would also be a change order, and the net difference would be the $29,000.
So just for clarification, Ross was doing the one on Center Street.
Correct.
Discovered that it's already a 12-inch, they didn't need to do anything, and said, hey, now, but you say, we need to fix this because we know that this is a 6-inch and not an 8-inch. Can we just tie that in?
Correct.
They said, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
They're fine with that. In addition, this also includes 3 intersections where Brian has failed valves.
Okay.
And so we're replacing 9 valves in addition to that work.
Okay.
As part of this.
And then we're also trying to knock out 2 things by fixing the intersection, and since it's dug up from the water main, let's also repair the intersection as well. Or are we not there yet?
But we're not there for the
Okay.
intersection yet, but that's coming.
Okay.
It's likely coming. I mean,
Okay.
we do have a failed intersection, so we do need to open up an extra lane.
Okay. Any other council members with questions for Barney?
So again, just to be sure, so have we addressed Mr. Swanson's concern? We don't need any additional ordinance for budgeting?
Charlene? Okay, so the question is, our water main project, by adding this extra work and getting the deduct on the other, we're adding an extra $29,000. So it's 3% more than the original contract. Do we need to change the ARPA ordinance to add that in?
Well, we couldn't change the ordinance at this point. I mean, we could do another budget amendment, but 3% in the scheme of things really isn't a significant amount. And that's what our auditors look for, is
Right.
significant difference.
Yeah, so normally anywhere between 5 and 10% is kind of normal for change orders. Anything in an abundance of that, you would want to, at least take a look at it.
Okay. And then also, we still have, it's under 30,000. So technically, it wouldn't even need to come to us. Is that correct also?
Yeah, except, I mean, we're adding an extra section that wasn't on the original.
Okay.
We just want to make sure you're okay with us going to that section. I mean,
Okay.
It is a needed project, but, so it is an extra 165,000, even though we have a deduct. Just want to make sure that you're on board with,
Okay.
with doing that.
Tom was getting itchy. No, sir.
That's gonna come from me, Tom. Question.
You have a question?
Yeah, I'll let the mayor, I think the mayor had his hand up with.
Well, it's going to come from me too, so eventually you're going to have to talk.
Okay, well, let me.
I want to make sure that Tom and David are on board with it as well, make sure that we're not doing anything out of order.
So, to the question, does the council have to approve? So remember, there are 2 steps. You've got a budget, and then you've got to procure or purchase. It's under the procurement or purchase side that under $30,000 does not need to come to the town council. It still must be budgeted, which is a town council. I don't know whether this is budgeted or not. I seem to recall, I thought, an ordinance some weeks back where there was specific statements about what was to be done with the American Recovery Act, or funds. And I don't know whether this fit, I don't remember what it says. Yeah. But I don't know if this fits in there or it does not. But
And I think that's what Barney was saying, was that it did outline, but now the work does not need to be done, and so they're looking to switch it to this, and I think that's where probably some confusion might be.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the switch in the money or anything else. I just want to make sure that we're okay if the feds come saying, well, this ordinance says you're doing Center Street, you had money left over, or you found you didn't have to complete the work, so you switched it without telling us. So was that a violation of the ARPA? That's
Most
what I'm just
probably
trying,
not.
trying to get at. I don't want the feds to come and say, here's
He can
a
answer our
fine.
questions, right, Carl?
Yeah, no, it's well within the parameters of what the feds allow for ARPA. And in fact, in a single audit, they're looking at just making sure we're not buying jet airliners or new boats. They're looking to see if it goes underground, if it's waterworks, and it is waterworks, just within the parameters.
So just for clarification for the record, what we put in that ordinance that we had originally outlined, it's okay. What I hear you saying is that it's okay that this is still a water project, even though it's not in this location, it still falls under this.
Correct. We specifically put projects and we specifically put amounts in there, which were all guesstimates. The feds just don't want you spending any more than the 3.6 million you have right now until next August, when we can recharge it with the other 3.6 million.
Okay,
So, Tom, this would be a question for you.
I see you. I see you.
So that we can move forward with this project now, could we approve it and then retroactively do a budget amendment next month so that this can move forward, so that we don't delay a month?
Probably not the regular order of things, I will say that. I mean, could you do it? Sure. Look, I tend to like to do it, the right way, and I think that if you've got an ordinance that's sitting there that says we are spending this money on that and not this, to spend it on this, I think there ought to be a budget ordinance that says we're spending now on this, if that makes sense. I mean, has it been done before? Yes, it has. It's been done sort of a curative budget. I know it has in the years that I've been here. Is it my preferred method? No, it is not, to be very honest. But
Chairman.
Dick Swanson, 1107 South Main Street. The charter says explicitly you cannot fund anything, spend any money that's not budgeted, period. End of conversation. So the issue is back to what it was before. Do you need to do a budget amendment through an ordinance? And let me point out that the Center, this is your ordinance, that the Center Street water main reimbursement is one specific line item in that ordinance. What you want to do is to take money from that one line item, create a new line item, which is a contract for $163,000 to do water main work on Park Avenue. That's the issue. David's absolutely right. I was a Fed. They may or may not get upset about that. They might issue you something that says, your internal controls aren't very good, sir. You're moving money around, but you're still within our parameters, so we're not going to demand taking it back. That's what the feds would do, most likely. But that has nothing to do with the issue of, do you need an ordinance to meet your legal charter obligations? The answer is yes, because you're creating a new line item for funds that have been appropriated for a totally different purpose. Center Street versus Prospect. Last time I drove through town of Mount Airy, I had to go on Main Street to get from one to the other. So you need a budget ordinance. Sorry, it's the law.
Thank you. Yes, Charlene.
I wasn't planning on using another line item. This is one project, we're adding additional piping to this one project. So my intention was never to use another general ledger.
Okay. All right. Barney, did you have something?
Yeah, the only thing I would disagree with what Mr. Swanson's saying is that it is not a completely different project. You are replacing X amount of water main, and that's what you're doing. You're upgrading your infrastructure under the ground. It's all water main. There's nothing different about it. It's just the exact location of it. I don't see that as very different.
Okay.
But
I have another question for Barney, Mayor, sir.
Sure.
Okay, I just didn't want to get into if no one's asked the first one yet.
Go for it.
Has Ross indicated, say if we delay a month just to make sure we, cross the Ts and dot the Is, has Ross indicated that that would put us like farther down the list of projects, or would we still be able to get on their list? Or I guess if we approve this tonight, how fast would they be able to do that?
Yeah,
I just don't want to get like kicked back to the back of the
it's going to take them time to order material and stuff. I mean, you probably have the new ordinance, and if you wanted to do a new ordinance, you'd probably have that in place before they even get started. But the point is so that they can order material and stuff,
Yeah.
It'd be good if you can do it now, and stay ahead of, I know that brewery really wants to come in, and we want to kind of keep projects going, but, it's up to you how you want to handle it.
Okay. Thank you for all the information, and I understand that when we outline in the ARPA what we're trying to do, I understand that a lot of times it's for our internal benefit to make sure that those monies go where we have outlined that to go. And Chairman, I appreciate your comments, and Charlene, thank you very much. I'm not one way or another. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I think it's probably a good idea to wait the month. We'll go and clean up with new ordinances and do it that way. That would be my suggestion based on Dick's input. Honestly, I think as Barney just said, it would take a month anyway to get their ducks in a row with Ross, and so. I think we ought to wait the month and go ahead and do it cleanly and get it done right.
Okay. And like I said, I don't really have one opinion or another. And I think foreseeing, we're just correcting, making sure that our line items are in the right way. I don't see any problem letting them know that we would probably be moving forward, that we just need to correct some items. I think that would be okay, just so we don't delay anything, but just know that we have to move one item. We don't have to pay them right away, do we?
So, well, two things. Again, if they have to order material, material does take a long time now.
Okay.
Even getting water pipe and valves and stuff. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if we're doing an ordinance update, does that mean you have to introduce it 1 month? And
I can do an emergency.
Okay.
So we can pass it in March.
Okay.
And I think the March meeting is earlier in the month, so it would be done sooner, I believe. I believe. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's a month from today. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 1 month, I think.
But I would do it as an emergency. I would make a motion to do it as an emergency, and then we would be all taken care of. Just to make sure that everything would be clean, I think that would be the best way, unless somebody else has another opinion.
I just have one more question for Barney.
Absolutely.
Or maybe two, nothing urgent, nothing bad. How far along is the project on Center Street? Is it completed yet? Or are we like robbing Peter to pay Paul? Will we have enough money left over if some unexpected cost came up for that side of the project?
They've been complete except for paving.
Okay.
So they have, yeah, I think it's just paving. All their sidewalks and stuff, ramps and stuff they had to fix were completed.
But
So
we should have
it's just a
enough.
matter of repaving everything.
Okay, and enough money has been allocated for that? Any cost overruns on that? Or
No, it
anything?
shouldn't be.
Okay, I'm just asking. I just don't want to come back and say, we've already transferred, spent the money on this, and then come back and ask for an X amount. And the proposal says 300 feet down Prospect. How far does that get us down Prospect to the Station 1, is it down there by the American Legion?
Yeah, it gets us beyond, no, it just gets us beyond the bank property.
Okay.
Just a little bit further to where any road widening that's needed, it would get us beyond that point.
And will there be any, I mean, I'm asking this foretell the future, which is hard to say, but is that whole line from down Prospect 75 years old down to the water station by American Legion?
That's about correct, yes.
Okay, so would there be any other issues with upgrading the front portion now with, and then say all of a sudden have a bunch of leaks and blowouts down the other older portion?
So the rest of it, Brian does have a number of leaks on Prospect Road. We had one in front of the Legion not long ago. It wasn't just a crack in it, the whole top of it blew out. It's just, that's how fragile that pipe is. But that is identified as our next underground main to install, to get from, connect our main station, station number 1, it's our largest station, to this 12-inch main connects to all the towers.
I'm sorry to say, I can't remember, was that part of the ARPA funding phase 2, or is that?
So that's what we have identified as
Okay.
one of the phase 2 projects, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not doing this and all of a sudden have, you know, a 20-foot section blow out and
Right.
have to replace it all. So it's within a year or two, we'll be upgrading the other portion, more than likely. Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Quinn, appreciate it. I'm gonna make a recommendation that we table this till next month with an updated budget ordinance for the corrected line items, and council members, I'll make at that point an emergency recommendation that we approve this so that we don't slow that project down. That is not in this motion, however, it's just to table this till next month. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, Councilmember Munder seconds. All those in favor to table till next month for the updated items, say aye. Aye. Any of those opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody, for all of your information to help this council make its decision. And the chairman made the same sort of comments with the same one to replace the culvert for Rails to Trails West. And I think that recommendation would move forward as well. We just updating the ordinance for that as well. Go ahead, Barney.
As far as that one, it is an I&I project.
Okay.
You know, it is a storm culvert. What happens is on the 2 storm ponds that come off of, I'm trying to think of the development name, Summerwood, that's behind, down below Sunset and off to the left. There's 2 ponds there. Their outfall goes in and it goes into an area where it can't go under that railroad tracks. What's happening is that water is filling up and going into our sanitary sewer, which is I&I. It's water going into our sewer. Temporarily, we've raised those manholes, but we don't want to keep them 5 feet high. If Brian has to maintain them, that's not the easiest thing to actually climb up in. So we want to be able to remove this. This is an I&I project. And all those I&I projects are not listed in the ordinance.
Okay.
It's just for I&I, for storm, for sanitary sewer, and so this is just one of those projects. The reason for bringing this to you is this is going to a different firm that you approved earlier. So this is 40,000, give or take, 41.5 that would be going to our consultant to start the design of that culvert.
And that is AMT Engineering.
Correct.
Okay. So this one's a little bit different than the other one where it's not outlined, it's just under a major category I&I?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Chairman?
I assume that absent a detailed list of what's under the line item called manhole replacement, 550,000, is that what you're talking about?
No, we've eliminated the manhole replacements.
So you eliminated the 550,000? There's 550,000 in the ordinance for what's called manhole replacement under I&I.
Okay, so if you really want to get into the nit and gritty, wait a minute, let me finish. I'm responding to your things. You've already approved one project that's above that amount, which was the water meters. There was a certain amount listed for water meters. You're still going to have to do the installation, which is going to be another 300 or 400,000. That is the reason why we eliminated the manholes from the I&I. We didn't know exactly what these things are going to cost from the beginning. we're staying within our parameters of 4.69 million and making sure that we stay with those. Again, until you actually come up with a final on your contracts, you're not going to know exact dollar figures. You're also going to have change orders. It's normal. To hear that you got to stay with these exact numbers that we guesstimated seems a little ridiculous, but just want to point that out.
Okay, thank you.
I just say, he just said that you're taking it from water meter replacement? Is that what I understood? What did you say?
I did not say that.
What line item did it come out of? Is this coming out?
It's I&I.
I&I has three specific projects. Manhole replacement, 15-inch main line pipe wastewater treatment plant, and you have 8-inch sewer system pipe repair. The only line item that would fit would be, say, I have to take 550 out of the $550,000. That's the only line item that even remotely comes close to it. I'm just asking, is that the line item you're charging this money against?
Sure, it's one of the line items.
Those are sort of subcategories within the one major line item. So it sounds like it would be
Would somebody like to look at?
Yeah, here, let me see the list. I'll show you which one.
That's all I'm asking.
If there's an I&I storm drains, then that's where it's coming from. It is a storm drain.
What's the main category? I&I?
The main category, and there will be 3 projects instead of 1, and then they're listed. Manhole replacement, 15-inch mainline pipe wastewater treatment plant, 8-inch sewer system pipe repair. It's one of those 3.
Okay.
Or you really need to do an ordinance amendment. That's the question.
From my understanding, it's out of the I&I from the land replacement.
If that's correct, then that's fine.
Yeah.
We have storm drains in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm asking you a specific question.
Storm sewer.
Is this coming out of that line item called manhole replacement?
Storm sewer.
He's saying storm and sewer.
It's the sewer, your sewer liner. It's a sewer liner.
I see Charlene nodding back there, and
We'll say it's manhole. It's manhole replacement. Let's just.
out of the 550,000 manhole replacement, which is
I don't know why this is
where we have the problem is where
you could pick any one of them, really.
Yeah.
It's one line item, but we subcategorize the different projects within that line item. So we get an idea of what the line item number needs to be. This would be a reallocation within that line item. That does not require council approval as far as the budget goes. The procurement, yes. And normally when we reallocate within a line item, the CFO would be, just told about it, make sure that's okay, but it doesn't need formal council approval or a budget amendment.
Okay. I think, in my opinion, I think this one's a little bit different because on the last one, it was specifically outlined that it was Main Street. It's no longer Main Street, it's now Prospect. I think this one still falls under the general category of one of those 3. And as long as we have money for one of those 3, then I'm okay with that. Does council members have any questions?
I'm good.
Any other questions? All right.
I'm
gonna-
comfortable with that too.
Pardon?
I said I'm comfortable with.
Thank you, sir.
Never mind.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for the recommendation of $41,590 to be awarded to AMT Engineering for their basic engineering services. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Reed seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll move to February 2022 Commission appointments and reappointments. This is presented by Mayor Hushhour. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I guess we'll hit them one at a time. I'm recommending Rick Dye to be appointed to the Ethics Commission. You guys have his paperwork in front of you. He submitted an application back in December, and then I had him fill out the new form that we created after the January meeting as well. That's why you have two forms featuring him. He's a member of the American Legion, Air Force veteran, and a former scout leader in town. I think he'd do a good job on it, so I'm recommending him for the Ethics Commission. He'd be the alternate.
All right, council, all those in favor of Richard Dye being an alternate to the Ethics Commission, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next, Mr. Mayor.
Council President, may I just add a comment?
Sir.
So at the last meeting, I had mentioned that I thought there could be some improvements to the candidate application form. I sent in some suggestions, and I think you've incorporated some of those. And it's certainly up to the town to incorporate what they want to or not want to. But one of the specific things I recommended was to have the applicant sign the form and date the form, because I recall one of the earlier issues with some appointments was a form was not properly dated. So this updated form still does not have a place for the applicant to actually date the form. And indeed, this form was not dated. So it's just another suggestion to add that into the application template.
Are you looking on the new copy? There is a date on the new copy.
It says date received and received by.
And then right above that, it says January 2020.
It does.
26.
You are correct. Thank you.
Now, I do think that whoever receives this needs to date these things because there have been some arguments as to when people have turned in things. Other than that, that's neither here nor there. Mr. Mayor, please continue with your recommendations.
All right. And Steve, I'll work with you. If we need to tweak it one more time, we'll do it.
Now, that's my oversight, but Council President's comments are appropriate.
All right, thank you. Next, Morgan Rock to be appointed to the Economic Development Commission. He sent in his form. He actually was opening the door to being either on the Planning Commission or EDC. His preference was EDC. He's talked to Donna Marie Needle, and they seem excited to have him. He's excited to go there. So I recommend him for appointment to the Economic Development Commission.
So just for clarification and paperwork, he did cross off EDC, and it does have planning. We are now switching that to EDC.
It is EDC. That's the one that he wanted. And in all confessions, I accidentally put a line over the EDC. So
thank you.
So that is my line over EDC because I wasn't sure which commission he wanted. And then afterwards, I got word from him and Donna Marie that they wanted to be on EDC.
Okay, thank you, sir. So Morgan Rock be appointed to EDC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
And next, I'm recommending Lindy Camerata to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. She did make the January meeting, however, did not participate in voting at that meeting. She's a former chairman of the Planning Commission. She is trained, ready to go, and we all know quite a bit of the history of the misunderstandings throughout the second half of 2021. So I leave it up to the council, but I'd like to have her back reappointed to the Planning Commission to retain her seat.
Okay. And just for council members, when there's a reappointment, they don't have to refill out an application. We've taken their past experience and put that into consideration. All right. So Lindy Camerata be reappointed to the Planning Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Sir, before we vote, I have a question, and I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. So
Okay.
just help me, just remind me. So the council already approved Mr. Beta for the Planning Commission. And my understanding was that was for the primary position. Is that correct? I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so it's, my only question is, if we're voting on Ms. Camerata for Planning Commission, if we're voting on her to be a primary member, is there actually a space for another primary member? Or are we even allowed to vote on this for her being a primary member? So that's my technical question, and I'm kind of looking at Tom as well to help inform my understanding of this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Do you want to speak first, or?
I don't mind.
Okay, I do not mind. Go ahead, sir.
Obviously, there were some things that were not done in the best order during the second half of 2021 by, and I'll throw my name in there too. I mean, there's things that I didn't understand, and it took the town attorney to explain it all. And I think we all got a really good education on it, and I think we're better for having gone through that process. But the breakdown became a question of who was the alternate and who was the primary. And somewhere during that conversation, we decided that there had to be some flexibility on somebody's part. So what I agreed to was that if Lindy were to retain her seat, then I'd be happy to swear in Mr. Beta as the alternate for the Planning Commission. I think that serves, I think that's me acknowledging that there's a pathway forward, and I think we would have a full Planning Commission. Mr. Beta, is a good man. I have no problem appointing him as the alternate. Lindy Camerata is trained. She's a former chairman. She has the experience. In my mind, it would seem logical to keep her in her seat and then let the alternate person learn about planning. And most of the time people, one member misses a meeting and he'd be a voting member anyway. So that was my willingness to find a pathway forward, and that's what I'm agreeable to.
Councilwoman.
Yep. So, Mayor, you brought code before us that basically said that when a member is not reappointed, they serve, or they can serve, until the replacement is found. The replacement was found. He was brought forth by then mayor, recommended by Mayor Poyer. He was confirmed by town council. The only reason why he's not allowed to attend a meeting is because after the election, you would not send him an administrative letter with the oath, which he doesn't have to actually take an oath or sign an oath. It's just a letter that gets mailed. So back to Councilmember DeMotor's question, Brian Beta was confirmed by town council and therefore filled that vacant seat that Lindy was allowed to sit in until the replacement was found. So then what do we do with Brian Beta?
Yeah, and the premise of my question wasn't favoring one approach or the other. It was a purely technical question. Can we actually vote on a candidate to fill a primary spot if that only spot has already been voted on by the council? Or to move ahead with the approach presented, would we have to revote on Mr. Beta specifically as an alternate? Or could we just say, we now intend him to be an alternate? So it's really just technicality question to make sure we're formalizing things in the proper way, and whoever is ultimately the primary is voting on the commission, and we don't want to have to go back and question votes or something like that. So that was the premise of my question.
I would say that the council president's latest email mentioned that Lindy was no longer a member because she had missed 4 meetings. She did not miss 4 meetings. She attended the August meeting. She missed the October meeting. She missed the November meeting, and there was no December meeting. So then you got January's meeting, and she was at that one. So she missed 2 meetings, and that's it. So again, I'm trying to create a pathway forward. And my recommendation is an appointment of Lindy Camerata to retain her seat. Vote on it, and if you vote against it, I'll figure out something else. So I appreciate it.
Mr. Town Attorney, any insight from you?
Let me ask, you want the advice in public?
No.
Can I, before we put him on the spot, can I ask a question? Because being new to this, we had closed meetings. We asked for some clarification. I don't know what we can actually discuss about the clarification. It was my understanding exactly what Councilman Demoter and Councilwoman Reed are saying. This body, according to the legislation and our guidance and the law and the code that we've got here in this summary, approved Mr. Bida, and legally everything was done to make him a voting member and the member filling that empty seat. So here we are, how many months later, on a, as Councilmember Reed said, it's the mayor would not, the new mayor would not sign the welcome letter. I know myself, as we've all said, I didn't even get a letter that said I had to sign an oath, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm not sure. I guess we need you to, I don't know what we can actually say. I mean, I'd be happy to say what I think based on what we've gotten in this summary, which, you know, tells us what happened, which is he was voted in. This body is a legislative body that voted him in according to our town code, and he was voted in November, and that was it. He was in filling that empty seat. So what's left is an alternate. So at this point, this body has voted him in, as Councilmember Demoter said. He should be the person that fills that empty voting seat. So what's left now is an alternate. It appears to me, looking at, and thank you, it was a lesson in the code and, you know, the law and all the different sections. So I don't know why we're still hashing this out, because according to the rules, the regulations, the law, the code, this was done. So we did have our closed meeting. We asked for a summary of what happened to determine who filled what spot and what was left open, right? And we've determined that Mr. Bida filled that spot. So I agree with Councilman Demoter to ask our lawyer.
Let me try and rephrase just to make it crisp. I'm supportive of voting on Ms. Camerata this evening. I'm simply asking if we vote on her in a positive manner, if she's voted in as the principal representative, will she be the principal representative in standing and be able to vote and such? I just want to make sure if we proceed, she will indeed be the principal representative.
Should I say this in public?
So I'll just say my comments, and then if you feel comfortable that you want to add, you can. So it was my understanding that during our meeting that with the mayor not sending the letter, it was not giving him his recommendation to serve. I know we voted. I'm just letting everybody know. I know he was not giving that letter, which means Brian was not going to serve or attend the planning. that would put Lindy back at her seat, even though her term had expired, she would still technically be allowed to sit at that table. I disagree with the mayor, and my only point of disagreement is that I think she has missed 4 meetings. With those 4 meetings, that would terminate her seating position. Whoever we voted next would become a full-time member. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That clarifies it for me.
But, so regardless if she missed 4 meetings, her term expired and the code says she can sit there until a replacement is found. A replacement was found and voted for by this council.
So the state code says, and thus our code says, the term of a member of a planning commission, other than the ex officio member, council member, is 5 years or until the member's successor takes office. Do you want me to go further?
Let me, I'll just maybe keep you out of the fray here a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll try to. Let's just say I'll try. It's the best I can say. Just act as try and do a peacekeeper here. But it's a position. But it's a position of trust. And I believe I'm paraphrasing because I didn't. Unfortunately, I thought we would be a simple up-down vote and didn't really refresh my memory on a lot of the documents that were passed along, the opinions and such. But it's a position of trust. State code and town code indicates that a position of trust needs the oath.
The town charter says.
The town charter, an oath that's in the town charter administered to them. It's a position of trust. So without having the oath administered to him, he cannot serve. That would be a fair presumption. Or you can correct my paraphrase if it's wrong, but I'm concerned that okay, say that he's still, and let's just say, if no matter who it is, if it's not cleared to serve, are we just gonna, if it doesn't go out, the mayor's offered the way forward, doesn't work out, okay, the mayor reappoints somebody else, appoints somebody else, are we gonna just be back next month with the same argument? A path has been made forward. It's not the perfect path forward. As the mayor has indicated, the alternate does have voting when a city member is not there. Sitting members at times cannot meet, come to the meeting. So if there's a vote, the alternate is allowed to vote. There are things coming up before the planning commission that I would expect and hope that anybody that would have a potential conflict would recuse themselves from, which would put the alternate member in the voting position. So it's just that I'm concerned that if we don't solve this tonight, that we're going to be back next month or the month after that with the same argument. So no one's going to be happy with what's been offered. Just vote on it as a way forward out of this and go from there. And say if one of the city members of the planning commission resigns or something, can't do it, the alternate would be, I would hope, would be first, I want to say first chair, but that's probably not the correct term. But I know, unfortunately, but I would hope the mayor would consider the alternate as the first choice of appointment. Yeah, have to apply. But if the alternate applies for an open seat, that the mayor would consider that alternate as, I want to say, first choice for the alternate, and hopefully by that time, the alternate would have a feeling for the planning commission, has been trained, knows the topics. Not saying they don't now, but, you know, gets a better feel for the commission. And that's my thing. And hopefully, Tom, I kept you out of the fray a little bit with my paraphrasing.
Councilman
Out the
Demoter.
legal opinions of that are 200 years old.
Councilman Demoter, go ahead.
Yes, based on my focus questions that I asked and the responses I heard from the town attorney and Council President Boyer and Mayor Hushhour, I'm comfortable moving ahead with a vote on Ms. Camerata this evening. So thank you for the off-ramp. I've clarified for myself the appropriateness of moving forward, and they would be a legitimate member. That's what I've heard. I'm comfortable moving ahead.
Okay.
Well, let me just clarify. I said that the person who holds the position continues to hold it until such time as the successor takes office.
Understand.
Woman.
If you wanted me to say more, I really need
We
to wait.
we do not. No, sir. Thank you. Councilwoman.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to comment on. So I agree with Councilman Munder, Councilman Demoter. So I just want to talk about standard operating procedures and position of trust and the oath. So I don't know if any of the current planning members took an oath to take position. They were voted in and they went to the next meeting and they were a member. So on November 1st, Ryan Beda was voted in by this council to go on the Planning Commission. The then acting mayor on that evening signed it into, I mean, we make the laws, so we're the legislative branch. I'm not sure why we're kind of mucking up what we do and wanting to change the procedure. So when someone says, well, it's a position of trust, they didn't sign an oath. The standard operating procedures in this town for how many years was the process I just said. So voted in, signed in by the acting mayor, the position was replaced at that point. It was no longer, what I understand from looking at all this code and our closed meeting and speaking to our attorney and getting information and the facts and the data, the process and the procedures were properly followed. Nothing was done untoward. Nothing was, you know, done out of whatever. On November 8th, so that was our acting mayor following the process, and that person voted in. November 8th, our new mayor was sworn in, and he does have the opportunity to take his new path forward, as Councilman Munder said. He can take that new path forward in requiring people to, I believe, the letter will go, and they will have to, they'll get the oath, they won't sign the oath, but they'll get a letter. Somehow, I'm guessing.
Actually, with planning, ethics, and the Board of Appeals, I plan on administering
an
the
oath.
oath.
So starting November 8th, when he took office, that new procedure's in place, and we now know that we have our new path forward. So I'm not sure why I don't agree that anything was done wrong, untoward, not proper. Procedures were followed based on basically what was done and what had always been done, and that was a member was voted in and has taken that position. Everything that needed to be done was done, and it was voted in at that point. So you're right, Councilman Munder, there is a new path forward, but that started when the new mayor was sworn in on the 8th.
Yeah, well, just let me clarify about the new path forward. It was just more that a peace offering for this impasse has been offered by the mayor to move forward.
Okay, I thought you meant
that's what I mean. And new path forward, that's what that's
path
what
forward,
I
I
mean.
thought you meant is he's got the new procedure, the new process that is going to be followed where they're going to be sworn in. So it's very clear now publicly and here in this council room that we have that new path.
Oh, yeah.
However, we followed the path and the way things were set at the time.
Yeah.
So wait, you're offering a peace offering in lieu of town code and process?
No, what I'm also saying is that process has changed. The council president did not send a letter for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's his fault or anything. It was just wasn't done. So let's get that off the table there. I'm saying there's a new, I want to say, standard operating procedure now. For whatever reason, the letters was still on the desk, which means, I'm not going to get into technicality because I don't understand.
Well, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I know.
Public, it
I'm
was
not
in our
going,
meeting.
no, I'm not saying, I don't want to say in.
Well, I mean, we talked about it
incorrect.
in the meeting, so it was publicly said that that the mayor, the acting mayor, just as a courtesy, left it for the new mayor, and he just didn't sign it, as he said.
Yeah,
So based on what's happening here, you could almost theorize that any commission member who actually never received this letter in the past, because it wasn't part of the normal process, even though it's in code, theoretically could be approached and said, you've never taken the oath, you are no longer on the commission, don't show up to another meeting.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. And that's the reason why we're trying to move forward with this. Listen,
But you're setting the precedent.
what I know is that I'm the only one who's coming to the table and offering a pathway forward. It seems like some people are not willing to give an inch. I'm at least trying to move forward. When I got into office, the letter was not signed. I ran my campaign based on certain issues. I had concerns about a member that was proposed to join, and so I didn't sign the letter.
Right, but you're the one that quoted town code to us,
Yeah,
but yet you're not following it because the replacement was found.
well, no, the argument from the council president was that Lindy had missed 4 meetings, and I would tell you she missed 2.
That was an afterthought to all of this when
Listen,
Council President Poirier put that
I'll put it
together.
this way. I'm putting Lindy Camerata up to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. Please vote on it. And we don't have to talk about it anymore. And whatever happens, I'll have a pathway forward for next month.
And I'm just, sorry, and I'm just afraid by what's going on right now is that if it's not appealing to what is done at a later date to members, that we'll be back at the table having the same discussion. So a solution has been proposed to vote on it. The 2 people that are in discussion gets on the Planning Commission, okay? So it's not, some people don't get what the position they wanted or vice versa or that. Don't want to sound mean, but you know, it does happen. But an alternate on the planning is not a bad position. They do get a chance to vote. It shows to me that if a person, an alternate, learns what's important to the town, not saying they don't already, but learns the process, all that, if a sitting member or a principal member is not there, they are allowed to vote. And as I said, if for some reason a sitting member of the commission needs to leave for some unknown reason, that I would hope that the alternate would apply for the principal position and the mayor would take that position into consideration based on their, I want to say, not duties wrong, but their time as an alternate on the planning commission. So I'm just saying we need to take a vote, and we could potentially be back with the same discussion next month, unfortunately. So
I don't think it would be the same discussion, but I'll close out my comments.
But not the same
Listen, all of us were elected here, all of us stuck our necks out there, and all of us have opinions, and I would expect you to uphold your opinion. When this meeting is over, the issue is over, and we move on, regardless of how you vote. We are a team up here, okay? We just need to get through this little episode, and, you know, it's boxed into its own little discussion, and when it's over, it's over. So just vote, please.
I would like the record to be shown that I was ready to vote 20 minutes ago. Everybody understand that, right? Okay. All right. Lindy Camerata to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay. 3-2, Lindy is not reappointed to the Planning Commission. Mr. Mayor, next.
Okay, next I'm recommending Lucy Riegel be reappointed to the Streets and Roads Commission. I don't think Lucy needs much discussion. She's done a great job on streets and roads and will continue to do so.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor of Lucy Riegel being reappointed to the Streets and Roads, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. There we go. Moving on, moving forward. At this point, council members, in watching the last planning meeting, because I had nothing better to do. Just kidding. I'm just teasing. I wanted to make sure you were still awake, Roxanne.
It was riveting.
It was riveting. I couldn't even keep up. Roxanne, I was talking with Councilmember Munder, and we wanted to, at this point, share the dates with the council members. If you don't mind, can you come up to the podium?
Oh, me or?
No, Chairwoman.
Or
do you have the dates? All of the.
I've
you have the dates?
got them here, yes.
Okay.
So if.
I'll let the,
yeah, and I'll let the chairwoman or the staff, if I think they believe I got it wrong, they can get me correct.
All right, keep us up.
All
keep
right.
us up to par.
These
here.
public meetings are related to the two proposed developments in town, Green Tree Development, which is located at North Main Street and Candace Drive, and what we have been commonly referring to as the Beck property, AKA the Center Street completion. I will go first with the Green Tree meeting dates and what it basically being proposed. Green Tree is being proposed as a 70 townhome development with approximately 20,000 square feet of retail commercial space located on a two-story building built into the topography of the site. This project has been allowed to proceed under the zoning of MXUCC, and the meetings are for the public to see what is being proposed for the site and to take part in the planning process so concerns can be worked out prior to the start of the construction. Here's the following schedule for the Green Tree. As previously mentioned, 2/14 at 7 p.m. at Town Hall will be the public charrette for the public to see the preliminary site plans, ask questions of the developer, and express concerns and offer suggestions. Then in March, it will be 3/14, 7 p.m., Town Hall. That will be the Planning Commission public hearing related to Green Tree. 3/22 at 7.
Hold on one second.
Sorry.
Hold on. Planning Commission public
Hearing. It's just for the public. It's just for the Planning
I
Commission that day.
understand. Just
Okay.
people are trying to write stuff down here.
No problem.
All right, go
We
ahead.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. 3/22 at 7 p.m. in Town Hall. There will be a joint workshop between the Town Council and the Planning Commission. Council members are encouraged to attend if they can, but not mandatory. So it will, just in case somebody doesn't, a council member can't make it, the workshop will still take place, so.
Is this so council members can talk with planning, or is this with public to talk to planning and council members?
I will let Roxanne or Tom.
Workshop where the public can watch and be in attendance. There will be no input from the public. This is just for the council and the planning commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So no public input on 3/22.
Correct.
Thank you.
You can come and be observers. Thank you, Roxanne.
It's okay, I repeated it.
No.
Carl, real quick, when is the charrette?
The charrette is 2/14, Valentine's Day at 7 p.m. Dinner or get some chocolates or something.
You might want to go get dinner first.
Dinner first.
All these meetings are at 7 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, all right, moving on. After 3/22.
Okay, 4/4, it's 7 p.m. again in Town Hall. This will be the joint public hearing between the Town Council and Planning Commission. Note, this is the same night as a normal Town Council meeting. So I believe the Planning Commission has put in a request for the Council President to schedule a 7 o'clock public hearing between the Town Council and Planning Commission, at which time the public will be allowed to offer comments on the proposal. The following.
You have more dates?
Yes.
Okay.
For one more date for Green Tree, then I'm going to switch to the Beck property.
All right, don't go that one
Okay,
yet.
Green Tree is 5/2 is the next date. This is just more of a FYI. This is the first date the Town Council can vote on the site plan.
Is this a Town Council meeting?
Yes, 5/2 is a normal
I'm gonna be
Town
there
Council
already.
meeting.
Okay.
It's not a meeting, it's just a potential vote if we so choose to.
But it would be in our council packet.
It should be.
Okay.
If,
I don't need to write that date.
if for some reason this stays good. This was a reschedule because we had COVID and some weather-related issues.
Okay. Before you get to your next one.
All right.
Can we do for joint public hearing with Planning Commission? At this point, there was a charrette, a public hearing, a workshop, another public hearing. Hopefully, everyone would have vetted their opinions by this point. However, can we do we have anything coming up?
We do have at the April 4th meeting, a 6:30 public hearing on the regular annexation.
I would be fairly comfortable with a 6:50 on this one. If council members are okay with 6:50, allow 20 minutes for regular, there too about, and then 6:50 to 7:25 for this one. Does that work for everybody? I mean, we're already going to be here. I'm just, okay. Commission.
6:50 for.
Yes, Chairwoman, 6:50 on April 4th at 6:50 PM will be a joint public hearing with the Planning Commission at that time. Does that work for you?
It does. It's giving us 35 minutes. I don't know if that's enough time.
It'll be. We'll see what.
It should be.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
All right, so now moving to
the Beck property.
Beck property.
AKA Center Street connection. This development, okay, this development is located on both sides of Route 27. It is on the south side of Watkins Park, on the west side of Route 27, and between Nils Farm and Twin Arch Shopping Center on the east side of Route 27. That's the best way to describe it. Good enough, right? I mean, that's
In 3 separate parts.
parcels. So it's hard to describe exact parcels. That's just a general location. This project is being developed under the zoning of MXD or mixed use. This zoning classification can allow for a mix of various types of residential development and commercial/retail uses. Here's the schedule for those meetings, if nothing changes due to weather and other unforeseen circumstances. 3/14 at 7:30 PM or immediately following the public hearing on Green Tree and Town Hall will be the charrette for that.
Please hold. Okay. This will be a charrette, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Again, all these times are at 7 PM. 3/28, approximately 2 weeks later at 7 PM, a public hearing in Town Hall, which is the Planning Commission public hearing for this. This hearing will take place during the regular scheduled Planning Commission meeting. So it's up to the chairwoman to see what, all depends on the schedule and everything else, how that appears in the schedule. But that is the Planning Commission public hearing. 4/7 at 7 PM in Town Hall is the Joint Council and Planning Commission workshop. Again, town council members are encouraged to attend. So hopefully we all can, but if we have other, commitments, that's understandable too. It is a workshop. So, that if you can't make it, send, Roxanne or one of us can potentially maybe say what you want to say. May 2nd, 5-2 at 7 in Town Hall is the joint Town Council and Planning Commission public hearing. That is at the normal Town Council meeting for May. So I'm not sure if we have anything else.
We're not scheduled that far
Okay.
out, so we're okay.
Okay.
Public hearing for town council, right? And planning? That's a joint one, right?
Yes, joint
Okay.
public hearing.
This is back,
Okay.
well, I'm gonna do back mapping. Oh, do you have more meetings?
I've got just one more in FYI. At the June council meeting, 6/6 will be the first date the council could vote on the site plan.
Okay.
Not saying we will, I'm just saying that's the first date that it can be presented
The
to be
first
voted on.
opportunity.
Yeah, first opportunity.
All right, I'm gonna do back mapping so that I don't get stuck. So if we have other ones, we'll keep
back
pushing them back. So this one, Beck property, what do you guys think? 6:45, 40 minutes by this point or longer?
I guess 5-2.
I'm actually asking the council members if that's 6:45 to
Yeah,
7:25.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be reasonable? We've already started to hear people already. Okay. Chairwoman, that's on May 2nd at 6:45 PM. And Holly, any other hearings will be 20 minutes prior to that. Okay. Council members, you are, like Councilmember Munder had already stated, you are not required. However, this is an opportunity for you to be involved, to hear the public, especially, I would say, the joint workshops with the Planning Commission as well as the joint public hearing. I would prioritize those before anything else, but you represent the public, the residents, so I'll leave that up to you. Thank you, Councilmember Munder, as well as Chairwoman. I appreciate all of your time and effort. God bless.
Yes, it is all in code, so it's not anything that the Planning Commission decided to do themselves.
I don't think anybody would. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. Good chair.
So don't hold it against the Planning Commission.
No one's holding anything. I think we're good. All right. Okay. At this point, we're going to follow our agenda and move into ordinances and resolutions. We will begin with ordinance 2022-2. This is for development fees. This is up for adoption. We introduced this at the last meeting. I will make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Munder seconds. We can now go into discussion.
I have some questions.
Go for it, sir.
So it would be helpful if the town staff could give a little bit of a background on the research that they conducted and how specifically they derived each of the subcomponents of the developmental fees. I mean, I see what they are. I have follow-up questions specifically on them, but I wanted to first ask the town if you wanted to give us a frame of reference on how you arrived at these.
Could I ask the mayor, we were in that meeting with the mayor, could he answer that for staff?
The staff was actually, this was drafted with input from council members and myself. So the staff collected information on the impact fees of other municipalities, which we had at that meeting. Carl and Lynn were both at that meeting, and so we had some information on what other towns were doing. What we did do was we took an approximation, and don't hold me to my math today, but we took the approximate number of houses randomly that would equate to 1,000 people being added to the town. And then we divided that out to figure out exactly how much money would need to be brought about as income for for basically the next police officer that was going to be hired, which hiring a police officer first year, a year and a half ago, was about $180,000. So we rounded that up to about $200,000 for the first year. Every year after that, it's roughly a little bit over half that, about $100,000 a year to maintain an officer. But the purpose of the impact fees is namely to offset the costs of public safety, which means that addition of an officer. So we basically ballparked it there. It actually came in at a lower number, and then we looked across at other communities, and we came up with a number that we were satisfied with. So this is our starting point, and if there's members of the council that thinks it needs to go up or down, then you can do that. We did randomly go across all the other impact fees in the town, and we ballparked an extra $200 on all those. So that's how we came up with the numbers. Lynn and Carl may have some input as well.
Yeah, can I add to that? I also want to add to what the mayor's saying, because we looked at things, and when was the last time our impact fees went up?
07.
07, so quite a few years ago. I want to add to that because when we look at the hourly rates, we looked at to get them kind of commensurate with what the actual hourly rates would be for services like the planning, the engineer, things like that. So we did look at current inflation rates and what we felt was fair, because we didn't do this lightly. We didn't look at this and say, all right, let's just stick it to new development and let's get what we can at all. I think we were pretty conservative on the amounts we went, right? Where we went up and the percentages that we went up, the per square foot going from 35 cents to 38, I think is pretty conservative and low. And if you look at, I believe you all got from the mayor, the spreadsheet of the impact fees by municipalities, and it was kind of eye-opening to me that some municipalities had such higher impact fees, and they're really kind of farther out in the country. It wasn't like we were near DC or near Baltimore that I would go, oh yeah, that's why it's higher. So I think it was we did a lot of due diligence going through it. We spent a lot of time, talked to staff, and got input from staff on how to come up with these dollar amounts, and that's why we were comfortable.
Excuse me, Councilwoman, was that email that you were saying, is that only to you guys?
There you go.
Oh, maybe. Sorry about that.
So,
yeah. So.
You want a copy?
Yeah. You want me to forward it? I can
think
forward it right now.
Yeah, that's good.
I do have some follow-up questions.
Steve got one.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
Whenever appropriate.
Yeah. They were, we're kind of in the middle there. There's towns that are way higher than us.
Yeah.
It's shocking compared to it.
Yeah.
I just think it was very conservative, and we put a lot of time and thought into it. From a fiscally responsible standpoint, don't you agree?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, Councilwoman, I do. For 15 years of non-raising, $200 is not that bad, and broken down over 15 years, it's almost the rate of inflation, the same rate of inflation it's been for those 15 years. And as the Councilwoman was saying, there are a lot of more municipalities that are higher. It's reasonable. Overall, it adds, if I did my math right, it adds about $2,700 total to the development fees across the board total. For everything. We did raise the square footage rate for commercial because we found out that depending on the type of commercial, it's charged either a flat fee or a square foot fee. So to be fair, we raised the square foot fee too. We did that on the same basis as rate of inflation and everything else. And the hourly rate, because obviously over 15 years, salaries have gone up too. So when staff is required to review, we raise the hourly rate to that, for that too. But $200 across the board for every fee is not that bad, when some municipalities are much higher and some are much lower. So I don't have a problem with it.
Just to answer Councilmember Demoter's question on staff input, as the mayor said,
Yeah.
we did, that's what we did that day. We got staff input and really kind of dug in deep with the numbers. And like Councilmember Munder said, where are we at? And if you look at it, some places it's less than a 10% increase, which if you're looking at the rate of inflation, you know, I thought it was pretty reasonable. These, like we said, of course we could go higher, but why did we didn't want to do that?
Follow-up questions or other council members, first round first, or?
I will just say that I had the opportunity to talk to the mayor and council member Galletti prior to the meeting, and they were kind enough to answer my questions, so thank you very much.
Okay, additional questions for me?
Yep.
So I just want to make sure we as a town, we're putting our best foot forward. We have a credible, justifiable approach in the derivation of how we calculated these. I guess when I look at these, it does appear, I mean, the mayor, I know you were just conversationally speaking, but you use words like, you know, we kind of randomly looked at these, you know, the numbers are in the ballpark. And I look at the subcomponents, and again, everything is basically just bumped up by like a $200 number. So the question I ask is, well, how did you arrive at that $200 number? Why not $500? Why not $100? Things like that. Looking at understanding how to derive impact fees in the literature, it looks like you really need to be able to defend. You need to look at the areas that are proposed for development, and specifically for those areas that are going to be developed, you need to derive specifically the infrastructure that's needed to support that development, and then provide a rationale for how you arrived at that, whether it was a school or some other public infrastructure, water sewer treatment facility, et cetera. And I guess I'm a little concerned that it just looks like the approach was, well, let's bump these numbers up by $200. We looked at what other town impact fees are. We like where we sit within those numbers, so we're happy with that. To me, you should start from the scratch, derive your impact fees, and then you open up the curtain and you look at what other towns are charging. And then whatever your numbers are, they are, and you can defend those. They may be higher, they may be lower, but you can defend it. Another thought is, again, whether it's any citizen or developer, I mean, we need to be fair to our constituents. You know, a developer may come in and say, well, how'd you come up with these numbers? Show me how you calculated them. Show me your basis. And it does seem like just picking a $200 kind of correction factor is a little bit of ballparking it. Another comment, you talk about considering inflation, and I went through each of the subcomponents, and they have gone up, some 8%, some 10%, some 12%, but all with just a $200 correction factor. So if you really want to look at inflation, so you go to the Federal Consumer Price Index, and you go to the federal government cumulative inflation calculator, and if you type in a subcomponent cost, for example, one was $1,700 for, I think, water sewer treatment for 2007. You take that $1,700 number, you type it in for 2007, and you say, what's the cumulative inflation rate for that in 2022? And you get about a 35% cumulative inflation factor. So again, my point is, if you're using inflation as a basis, are you, fairly or accurately increasing these to account for inflation? Another question I have is, rather than just adding a $200 correction factor for each of these subcomponents, such as sewer hookup fees, water connection charges, cannot the town staff actually calculate out what those numbers are? I mean, shouldn't we start from the basis and say, what does it cost us to do hookups based on our current labor cost, equipment, whatever it costs, and that's the way you arrive at your numbers. Those are some of my thoughts. Again, when I looked at the literature, it says, so I looked at factors where your impact fees could be questionable or potentially invalid. And some of those factors would be, it says your impact fee calculations must be reproducible. The method of calculating the impact fees should be capable of being reconstructed. If the recalculation of the fee cannot reproduce the original fee, the calculation method may be flawed. And then they called it impact fees don't exist. And their comment there was, some communities simply establish impact fees based on average or typical fees charged by adjacent communities. Such fees are not based on impact, but are solely market-driven decisions that have no relationship to needed facilities. So that kind of sums up what some of my comments are about this. So it just seems to me that we should have a better basis of how we're calculating these. And I think that basis should be well documented. It should be in a memorandum for the record within the town. It should be signed off by someone in the town so that if somebody questions or challenges the fees, we're on sturdy ground to be able to defend those. Also, impact fees, it looks like the guidance is we should really be looking at these every 2 to 3 years. So the last time we looked at these was 2007. So, I just wonder whether I don't want to use cheating isn't the right word, but are we setting our impact fees too low perhaps because of the methodology you've chosen? How do we know that these are really the right numbers for what we need for the town? Those are some thoughts based on what I've heard. I'm not comfortable as a town council member voting on this evening because I want to see on paper the actual way that you arrived at these numbers. And if I saw that, that would give me a better grounding to be able to decide to support these or not. Last comment, I'm sorry, but I know you talked about the police, the safety impact fee. So that was a whole new category where I know you considered many, many, many factors of what it costs for a police officer. And I know there are some questions in the law about whether operating costs can be included as a basis for impact fees. Certainly infrastructure, capital improvements, but operating costs, I think there may be some questions about that. So that's soup to nuts, my comments. I'd like to see the write-up of how these were all derived. I think we should take more time to come up with more grounded impact fees and then move forward appropriately. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Would anyone from the town like to respond to Councilman Demoter?
Tom, do you think that we need to dig deeper into justifying our numbers?
I would say this, that, you know, and I said this soon after '07. I think you, and I come from it from a legal perspective. What am I going to say if you're in court defending these? And I think you are always better off with a detailed memorandum, as I guess Councilman DeMotor had suggested, in the file that clearly sets forth how you derived what you did, why you did it, rather than an after the fact, after a challenge explanation, which is not received as well by people who make decisions on this. So on that, I would tend to agree. I've always preferred, you know, documentation in real time in case you are challenged later. All right. In terms of the methodology, I heard some, you know, pretty specific things. So maybe that should be in a memorandum that, you know, is kept in case there's a challenge later.
Are you willing to work with me over the next month, since you brought it up?
I'm happy to look at it with a critical eye to, yes, to pass my own judgment to say, okay, I've seen enough that describes the basis for the need, how it was calculated. The numbers have a basis for them. We might need some consultation with the town attorney to make sure, you know, it's okay to include certain operating costs, for example, for a police officer, those types of things. I think we're on good standing in terms of adding a safety factor element and using the equation for, you know, how many people equate to another officer. But we need to look at the costs we're including in that estimate. And then again, just the $200, you know, let's just up it by $200. I hope there's a better way to come up with some numbers, but I'm certainly happy to work with anyone.
Okay, well then, you know, I would recommend that you make a motion to postpone so we can alter it a little bit between now and next month. And I'd be happy to sit with you and create a town document justifying these fees. If you want to make that motion, that's up to you.
Mayor, Mr. President, may I ask Tom and Barney a couple questions here related to this?
Sure.
Okay. Just saying, first off, Barney, is there readily available formulas that we could plug into, like nationally recognized formulas like X? You know, you multiply, say for the connection charge, you multiply X, Y, and Z into the formula to get the service charge, or would we have to come up with our own formula?
I think there might be a combination of things. There's probably some formulas already out there, but each town's, you know, may be different what our needs are. So I think we would want to look at it from, you know.
Okay. And we should be able, so by that, we hopefully should be able to pull something together by next month. Hopefully, depending on time and everything else.
I wouldn't see any reason why not. But.
Okay. I'm just asking. And for Tom, the town attorney, you've mentioned once during the discussions of prior, the fees need to be reasonable. Correct? They can't, if we come back with something showing, you know, I'm just making the number up, $1,000 more for the connection charge or $1,000 more for X, Y, and Z, that would be determined unreasonable if it was challenged in court too. So sometimes we have to go for the lower number.
It's just
for it to be reasonable, to be considered reasonable if challenged. And but as I'll agree with Councilman DeMotor, if it's a higher fee, we should have the ability to defend it in court if it's challenged too.
I think the lower number is just more defensible in the sense that it's easier to justify.
Okay. So I just want to give people knowledge that it might not, even though the calculations might come out with a higher number, we might have to scale it back a little bit. So.
And again, my comment, I'm happy to work with folks. I really do think it's the town staff that has the expertise to be able to come up with calculational approaches for some of these sub-elements. That's not something I have the expertise in. I'm assuming our town has that expertise.
Okay. My only question is actually referred to the one item that was added to this ordinance, which is subsection B, letter K, for the police impact, which is significantly higher than Tawnytown and Manchester, where their impact fees for the police officer is $100 and $250, where we went up to $1,700. And if all of these additions were to help cover for a police officer and the APFO, then why is that number so great? And that would be my only concern, but I think that will be addressed upon further investigation with Councilman Demoter and the mayor. Other than that, I didn't really have any other concerns. I think we're still very conservative. At the same time, I look at it as it's an ordinance within the town of Mount Airy, and if we feel like this is what we want to set by precedence, I think we can drive development or we can push development away depending on these numbers. But that's my 2 cents on that. Considering the recommendation by the mayor, I'll make a motion. Do you want me to postpone or table? Postpone?
Postpone.
Until you're ready? I'll get word from you. Okay. I'll make a motion that we postpone this 2022 ordinance until I further hear from the mayor. I'll make a motion. Is there a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone, for a good discussion on that. Moving along to ordinance 2022-3. This is also for public safety impact fees.
Council President, I wanted, before we go any farther, I want to check with, should we even be considering this right now? Because they were kind of feeding
I would
upon
think that they're
one
tied
another.
together, so I was going to make a motion.
Oh,
to
sorry.
postpone.
Okay.
That's okay.
I
was just going to read it and then make a motion.
I wasn't aware.
No worries.
I apologize.
No worries.
Sorry.
No problem. So this is a ordinance focused on public safety impact fees. As was just stated, I think the two are tied together, so I'll make a motion. I needed to first make a motion. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Councilmember, it's okay. It was out of order. I'll make a motion that we postpone this until the mayor is ready on this one as well. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right. Moving to ordinance 2022-4. This is proposed changes to the CC district, and this is for introduction. I'll make a motion to introduce. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Munder seconds. We'll see this next month.
We have to set a public hearing too.
Oh. That was not in my notes. I apologize. What do we have going on for March? I don't think anything that month.
No, we didn't just say anything, right, because everything's later.
Not yet.
Am I doing another one for the MP?
No, the MP should be going back to planning.
Oh, planning.
No, nothing else in March.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. 7:15?
Yeah, that should.
7:15, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right,
be.
perfect.
Yeah, it should
All
be.
right. We will make this public hearing at 7:15, March 7th. Sounds good. All right, perfect. All right. Oh, all right. Next up is ordinance 2022-5. This is proposed changes to the neighborhood professional district. This is for introduction and then referral to planning. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Munder seconds. This will be going back to planning. I'm sure we'll see that in a couple months. All right. Next up is Resolution 2022-2. This is available water and sewer capacity yields. This is up for adoption. Barney, I saw your email, but just for record, can you just summarize some of your thinkings on this, please?
Yeah, so every month we have the APFO calculation that we do. Just looks at how much development we have left that's in the pipeline, and what our water and sewer uses are. And everything seems to stay in line right now. So we had created a set amount of water and sewer that was available back in, I think, 2016. And we just recommend continuing with that. For example, we started with 81,000 gallons a day of water capacity available. We've used 35,000 or allocated 35,830 with a remainder of 45,170 gallons per day remaining.
Okay. And then sewer capacity goes through those numbers as well. And I just wrote a note for council members as well as myself and the public. We don't have any major build-outs taking place next year that would want to increase either the water capacity or the sewer.
That's correct. The next step will be the division of categories, and we will have some changes for that. But the overall capacity is fine.
Okay.
As of today.
Perfect. All right. All those in favor of Resolution 2022-2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving along to unfinished business. We have our charter amendment workshops that are scheduled for Thursday, February 24th at 6 p.m. We just wanted to set a reminder for those at home as well as council members that will be happening and taking place. Next up, we'll Flatiron building updates. Mr. Mayor, I actually leave this on here as a reminder for you. I'm aware that you met with Preservation Maryland, so anything you would like to share?
Yeah, I'll just say that I met with Preservation Maryland on Zoom with a couple of volunteers, and town administrator was on to listen in. And they generally just gave us an outline of how they go about preserving historic buildings and what their intentions are. There was a little bit of insight that came in that was interesting, but not noteworthy to throw out to everyone right now. But following that meeting, what they agreed to do was to send out what they refer to as a preservation engineer to take a look at the Flatiron building and give a cursory opinion on what they think about the building. The Historical Society met, let's see, on February 1st. They actually did hold a vote on if the Historical Society was going to endorse saving the building, and that vote went toward trying to help to preserve the building. The cursory look at the building from a preservation engineer will occur on February 23rd at 9:30 a.m. Any within the Open Meetings Act, council members are welcome to come in there and see what he has or she has to say about the building itself. And that's the only update. And the only thing that I have continuously said as I've gone through this process is that, you know, ultimately, when we decide what to do on the Flatiron building, what I hope to present is if we wanted, this would be like the fourth option. Using Preservation Maryland to preserve the building, here's how it would occur. So that's kind of what we have been working down as I've gone through this process. So that's the only update.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move into the mayor, council, and staff reports. Mr. Mayor, you're up first with your mayor's report.
Okay, all right, I pass that to all the council members and of course, Colleen to save for eternity. I'll skip through the calendar part of it, go down to the notes. The town staff is still utilizing the small clipper magazines to disseminate some information as best we can post messenger. SK Printing is introducing a hybrid of news and advertising called the 4-County Catch. We did buy 2 pages in that for advertising. There's a recap of the council meeting in there. It's very vanilla. It's this ordinance was presented, it passed. This ordinance was presented, it didn't. You know, it's very black and white in terms of how it is put in there. And then this month we put in an article concerning the Mount Airy Senior Task Support Group, and had a small article on that, and of course all the town events that are coming up. So we just have to see how the 4-County Catch comes out and see if it's something that you know that we can potentially use as a news source. We're not quite sure yet what it's going to look like because we haven't seen the first one, but it will be in your mailboxes within the next couple of days, so make sure you don't throw it away. Go ahead and thumb through it and see if there's interesting information in there. Let's see, the Senior Task Support Group did meet, and they are established as a nonprofit. They're remaining a task force at the same time until they get their feet under them, and they just gained a new member from the Wildwood Park community, a former HOA president, and their next meeting is February 10th at 10 a.m., so in a couple days, and that's going to be a Zoom meeting again. So if anybody would like to attend, let me know, and I'll make sure you get the Zoom link for it. Volunteer of the Year, we have several volunteers who have been nominated for this award. The selection committee will meet on February 9th at 6 p.m. to make the selection of the 2021 Volunteer of the Year. We kept pushing the dinner back. We know it will not be in February. It'll be in March at the earliest, whenever we can find a date that allows us to do it. Harrison LeShear status, I'll be meeting with the staff to discuss our interests as we move forward in setting up a process with the county on this property, and that meeting is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Again, the council, you're willing to send a couple of reps if you would like to within the Open Meetings Act. Rails to Trails work continues on the boardwalk east of Main Street, funded primarily through a grant. For the west side of Main Street, unfortunately, we heard we did not get the Brownfield grant despite all the efforts that we put through in trying to get it. But the good news is Secretary Brinkley put a little bit of money in the capital budget for us to offset some costs on the trail on that side, but it will require follow-up from myself and staff and anybody else who's interested in a road trip to Annapolis or to Frederick to talk to the Frederick delegation and make sure that money stays in there because we'll need it. Urban Renewal Authority, our bill to gain Urban Renewal Authority did not get presented to the legislature for various reasons. An attempt to introduce it through the Senate was thwarted as well due to political complications of trying to get the Carroll County senator, who we may be in their district next year, but he did not want to do something that our current senator is not willing to do. So so it looks like we'll try again next year. The good news is if the redistricting occurs in the manner that we think it will, which would be us becoming part of Carroll 4, that senator said that he would make sure that he took care of us next year. The Historical Society's Bag and Basket Bingo was scheduled for February 26th, and we've rescheduled it due to some of the requirements at the Firemen's Activities Building, as well as the general COVID concerns that popped up in late January, and we're trying to work our way through. As a follow, let's see, that's a Flatiron building. Code enforcement issues have been coming to my attention. As COVID hopefully dissipates, we will be more cognizant of the deviations from the town code and start enforcing some items, namely the flag and feather banner compliance. And we'll handle this in a fair manner, notify the businesses. I'll personally go out there and explain that, we allowed some things to occur to help the businesses, but as we hopefully exit the pandemic, we'll start looking at the code a little more enforcement, but in a friendly manner. I'd like to welcome our new social media part-time employee. That's Gina Galucci-White, and she showed up today and started working in Town Hall. She might have been here the end of last week, but I was flying. But she's busily working, so make sure you go upstairs. She sits right outside the elevator. So if you see her, her name is Gina, and we look forward to working with her. Winter weather is still upon us. Make sure you move your vehicles off the roadways and into driveways or other approved parking spaces to facilitate plowing of the roads. And that's the end of my report. Well, I do have one more thing. Councilmember Reed, if you'd like, we can meet and talk about the traffic circle that will go up there, and maybe we can come up with a way to expedite that, or at least make sure that we don't trip up as we try to get that thing installed.
Definitely. We should probably include Lynn for Streets and Roads, because they may already be working on something, but
yeah, that's fine. I just, you're 1/5 of the solution.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be
that.
working with you to get something accomplished than show up every month and hear that things aren't going well. All right, thank you. That's my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we?
It'll be quick.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that I'll plan on attending the meeting tomorrow for Harrison LaShare.
Okay, 11 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Next up is Recreation and Parks Board, Council Secretary Reed.
Yep. Recreation and Park Board last met virtually on Thursday, January 20th. Discussions related to spring baseball field allocations has started. Leaders from local youth organizations attended the meetings and shared preliminary numbers of what their needs will be. So that's a continued discussion within the board. Greenstone has completed the Windy Ridge multi-use trail design work, which will be reviewed by members of the board. So more coming on that. Volunteers for the proposed skate park continue to fundraise. They're actually doing a really great job. To date, they have raised $7,000 with an additional $10,000 promised from a local church. So I would not be surprised if we see construction on that in the early spring.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. The new baseball field check-in process will actually begin this spring. It's a program created by town staff where coaches, as they arrive to the fields, will scan a QR code so that town staff can collect data and ensure that the fields are being used as allocated. I think it will make the process, streamline the process, and provide a lot of information to town staff when they're working on the allocations for future years. Something I'm very excited about, Phase 2 of Watkins Play Place is scheduled to break ground on February 14th. The equipment will go in first. Then the new area will be fenced off until mid-March when they'll install the rubber matting. So it will be open for the spring. To my surprise, because the cost of material went up, there will be a Phase 3. So David, I need to talk to you. The next board meeting will be Thursday, February 17th. I believe we will still be meeting virtually. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for those wonderful updates. Next up is EDC and Planning, Councilmember Munder.
All righty, I will start off with a little bit deviation from the EDC and Planning Commission. I just want to do an FYI to the Carroll County residents of town here, that if you're not aware, but if you should have received a email from the Carroll County Public Schools indicating that there is a Southern Area Redistricting Committee that has just started meeting. They will be meeting, I believe, now through, let me get here, now through August. This committee was formed to alleviate overcrowding in the southeastern portion of the town first, but they chose to look at all the schools in the southern district. So I guess that means from Mount Airy over to Eldersburg. I'm not saying they are looking to readjust to accommodate overcrowding in the eastern portion of the county. So I want to be clear on that. There's been no talk of closing schools. They just started. I doubt that will come from this committee. I did try to attend, but due to public meeting requirements or acts or the type of meeting it was held, it was not open to the public, which is fine. I'm not mad. You know, it is what it is for them. So, but I just wanted to make it known that there is a redistricting committee happening, and there is a person from Mount Airy on the committee. Their child, I believe, attends Mount Airy Elementary or PARS. I am aware of that person's name, but I'm not going to give it out unless someone asks or that person contacts me to say it's okay. The person was Carroll County was kind enough to give that to me, just to make sure that there was a person on the committee. So there is. I just don't want this person to be overwhelmed with people's calls or inquiries about it. The Carroll County Public Schools do have a website up for it. So check back frequently for any updates on that. So now I will move the EDC. The meeting was held January 26, 2021. Several things were discussed. A MAMSA update was given. The Greater Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce update was given. The Welcome Home Mount Airy bags, which will be delivered to new residents, are getting closer to fruition. The first batch should hopefully be ready to go out by March. So I believe Donna Marie, the EDC chair, did send out a email to the council members several months ago to see if we would be willing to act as delivery people for the new residents. I think some of us, I know that we did, some of us did reply positively. I'm not sure if we all did. So if you want to do that, please contact Donna Marie. She'll be more than happy for the help and let you know when. The Mount Airy Map Project, which is a map that will show different various locations in downtown of businesses and throughout Mount Airy, is getting closer to completion. The EDC work plan was discussed, and they were going over the business survey from last year, and they suggested some initiatives for 2022, which are also part of potential budget discussions that are still going on. Some initiatives were a Mount Airy shuttle that was indicated from the Senior Task Force study, primarily to assist with getting seniors from Wildwood area downtown to shop, or maybe other locations for shopping related things. So we'll see food truck Fridays downtown or in various positions throughout the town. Business trade show at the Carnival Grounds with MAMSA and the Chamber and the town. Would like to give some updates on the Building a Brighter Future Small Business Grant Program. The first round of funding seems to have gone to several local businesses. They include Brown and Riegel for a roof replacement, Snap Fitness for a 24/7 update data security system, signage related to the St. James Thrift Shop, new fencing and an awning for the 1 Hour AC and Heating Company, and a new patio for Cedarbrook over for an ADA patio. There is still one application pending, so we'll see what happens with that one. The town website is currently going under a redesign, so hopefully within the next couple months, we shall see a new website out there, and hopefully it will be good. It should be good. The community development team, as the mayor just indicated, that we have a new member to it. The budget discussions are ongoing between the mayor, town staff, and EDC. I want to say or give a shout out to the upcoming MAMSA event this Saturday, February 12th from 4 to 6. It is the Main Street Chocolate Crawl. So anyone that wants some hot chocolate and explore the town and our shops between 4 and 6, come on down, visit the shops. You'll get some free hot chocolate. It's a wonderful date thing for upcoming St. Valentine's Day. And that leads me into something too, to mention that if you want some treats for your sweets, I'm messing this up. Treats for your sweet. Sorry, Jason. Jason's shaking his head over here.
It was good the first time. You should have just rolled with it.
Okay, well, hey, we have two fine establishments that Clay Doré down here, if I pronounce the name correctly. They are excellent. My daughter and my wife say so, so I take their word and opinion for that. And Mama Magic Cakes, excellent sweets or treats for the sweets in your life, amongst the other restaurants and bakeries here we have in town. So if you feel like shopping, coming down and get some food, come downtown then over the next couple days and do some shopping for Valentine's Day. I would also like to say the upcoming MAMSA events too, as I just mentioned. February 12th, the Hot Chocolate Crawl. March 19th is the Golden Ticket Crawl. Not sure what that is, but so check their website. And then April 11th through the 16th is the annual Easter scavenger hunt with the businesses downtown. And to do a shout out that the farmers market is returning this year from June 1st to September 28th. MAMSA is holding a membership meeting via Zoom February 21st from 7 to 8. So if you want to attend that, please contact them and they'll send you the link information. That concludes the EDC development, the EDC report. The Planning Commission should be hopefully shorter since I went over all the dates. Sorry.
Carl.
That's
Over
not
here.
me.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I heard my name. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, the bag delivery, I can't recall seeing an email from Donna Marie. Maybe y'all can. But Mary and I are willing to participate in that as well. And we did talk to Donna Marie. I think I'll be talking to her tomorrow as well. So
Okay, yeah.
So, but it'll be nice to have those bags out there. I know they did a good job on that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And EDC thanks you too. Planning Commission report. Meeting was held January 31st via Zoom. The county planners for Carroll and Frederick gave reports. The commission reviewed 3 plans related to site plans and amended plats. All the plans were projects in the Twin Ridge Professional Park. Plan 1 was S20-0032, Lot 7A, also known as the Cube Smart Self-Storage Facility. This location is on a lot between Rising Ridge Road on the east and Park Ridge on the west and closer to Route 144. This was a concept plan approval for the mini storage facility that was held over from the November 29th meeting. The representative for the developer provided answers to questions that the commission had from the previous meeting. Some of the questions related to access to the site, which we were told would be a keypad controlled with codes. The hours of operation also, which we were told would be for the office of the site, would be Monday through Friday, 9:30 A to 6 P. Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday they're closed. Access will only be granted via the keypad to this location from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The representative did present a new elevation drawing that was required or asked by Representative Block for a building facing Park Ridge. Unfortunately, the gray color was not the largest hit with the people in attendance, so it was asked of the person to go back and seek what the developers, I want to say, favor was for a neutral brown tone, make it a little bit more hidden or inviting for the people to drive by. Let me go down. There was a gate, there still is a gate, or was a gate indicated on the site drawings that will provide access to the facility from Park Ridge Drive via a shared entrance with the adjoining business. Residents at the November meeting was concerned that it would be somehow converted to a, I want to say, public access point. We were reassured that at this time, it is for emergency access by fire department only via controlled access, either lockbox or keypad controlled. Facility will have both interior and exterior security cameras. The type of fencing that is being presented is still, I want to say, they have indicated chain link fencing, but the elevation drawings have indicated what I would classify as a metal stockade fencing that's similar to what's over at Twin Arch Storage, at least to the points facing the road. The chain link might be on the sides, but it's still unknown to the Planning Commission if the building facing Park Ridge will be the back of the fence line or it will be included in the fence line. So stay tuned for further discussions on that and clarifications on that. I asked about would the owners of the facility be willing to provide a code to the Mount Airy Police Department to gain access to do spot checks. It was indicated that he would ask them to see. So hopefully to lower the crime concerns that the people had. The major concern that unfortunately cannot be done, a lot cannot be done about because it is an approved zoning, is the closeness of the facility to the residential portion of Twin Ridge of the area and Twin Ridge Elementary School. Unfortunately, it is, the self-storage is an approved zoning use. So we'll work on try to minimize the impacts and the concerns. And I believe, if John can correct me if I'm incorrect, the concept plan was approved via a 5-to-1 vote, I believe. I might be incorrect about that, but I believe it was on that. The second one that they heard was S20033, Lot 18A, Section 2 of the business area. The best way to describe it is it's a business center facility. That's the best way to describe it. There is no name. The site is an open piece of land currently on the east side of Rising Ridge Road that abuts the north side of Ross Contracting location. The property runs northward to the residential portion of Rising Ridge right before the southern end of the Twilight Terrace Court. The facility that's being proposed will consist of 3 one-story buildings that contain a variety of size spaces for rental and commercial uses, similar to what is already along Rising Ridge Road. So it's nothing that is not already there. According to the drawings, exterior materials will be masonry with colors similar to the existing buildings. There will be a line of trees or shrubs bordering the adjoining residential property, and I believe the concept plan was approved via unanimous vote. The third thing that was listened to was a amended plat proposal for the lot 18A that was concluding the earlier hearing on that from several meetings ago. I will say that is it. There was a resolution passed due to the priority areas for water and sewer allocation, which is primarily has not changed from the previous one, primarily for the downtown Center Street and the cold storage property. That is it. Next meeting is February 28th at 7 p.m. Sorry it was so long, but.
Thank you. Recycling and Sanitation Commission, Councilmember Demoter.
Okay. We held our last meeting on January 19th of the new year. The topics were discussed centered around many activities in the month of April. April will be a busy month for the commission. So we're holding a shred and battery recycle event that will occur on April 2nd from 9 to 12. We are going to try to limit that collection to people in the 21771 zip code to make sure we're servicing mainly Mount Airy residents. We'll hold a drug take-back day, and that'll be on April 23rd from 9 to 1 o'clock. And then we'll be having a spring bulk pickup day on April 30th, and that'll be from 9 to 1. And that'll be held at the municipal parking lot, so it'll be a little different than in previous years. And I think many years ago, it was held at the municipal lot. So we'll be doing it at the municipal lot, and we're coordinating with some Boy Scout troops to help volunteer to go out and pick up items from people that maybe need some help in getting materials to the lot. And the same thing, we're going to be checking street addresses to make sure that we're servicing the citizens of Mount Airy. And I know that, since we don't have a messenger, we need to work really hard to get the details out and communicate on this. So we're going to be doing that. Town trash and recycling center issues. There continue to be some issues with the recycling center over by the rail yard. I think the commission has been very attentive to this. They've got a number of action items, and I know they're working closely with the town. Those things include the fact that J&J, our trash and recycle services, are doing 3 pickups a week to help move that material out quickly. We're looking into some fencing issues and repairs, and I know the town is working on estimates for those. We're looking into surveillance cameras, changing locks and keys, reminding users of the rules of the road who use that facilities, and some other things. But we're aware of some issues. The commission, I think, has done a really good job paying attention to it, and I think is working well with the town. We'll be updating the 2022 yard waste dates on the town website and also through the Recycle Coach app. And our next meeting is scheduled for March 16th at 7 o'clock. Moving on to another item, making good progress in standing up the Main Street Safety Task Force. If you recall, the Mayor Hushauer announced the standing up of this task force at the January Town Council meeting. He's asked me to serve as the liaison for this task force. I've recruited 5 core members to serve on the task force from several locations throughout Main Street, so I think we have a good representation North and South Main Street. If there are others who are interested in participating, please contact me. We welcome other members, especially listening to the concerns about the Chick-fil-A area. If there are some residents up in that area, or if anybody knows of residents in that area that might want to participate, it would be good to have that perspective as well. So due to COVID concerns, I was moving a little gingerly on getting the group together, but now that we're kind of on the downslide, I'll be getting the group together here in the month of February before the next council meeting, and we'll move out with that task force. And we will certainly leverage the appropriate parts of the town and other commissions in making that a effective effort. And I want to thank Chief Reitz. I had a casual conversation with him a week or so ago, and I mentioned that the mayor had standed up this task force. And before I had a chance to ask, he said, well, let us know how you want us to help or be involved in that. And so we definitely do. And I'll be coordinating with the chief on that aspect. So that completes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up is Streets and Roads Commission and Beautification Commission, Councilwoman Galetti.
Thank you. First, I want to make a few announcements. I coordinated with the mayor, and he asked me to make sure I got these notes in here so we do not forget some big news for the town of Mount Airy before I get to beautification, streets, and roads. Super Bowl Sunday. How many people know that Mount Airy has one of our own in the Super Bowl this Sunday? Rob Havenstein, affectionately known as Big Rob, is in the Super Bowl playing for the Los Angeles Rams. Born and raised here, went to Twin Ridge, Newmarket, Linganore. So we're very excited about that. Good luck. We're Mount Airy proud. There's another local resident, Jake Funk. He's from Damascus on the same team. So whoever you're rooting for, root for the Mount Airy kids. More local news also in sports. Linganore High School, their JV and varsity cheerleading squad won their county championships, so way to go Lancers. And the varsity squad is moving on to regionals this weekend, so good luck to them, because if they win, they move on to the state tournament, the equivalent of the football tournament, the state championship. So good luck to Linganore Lancers. And last but not least, in announcements, very excited to announce the South Carroll High School JV cheerleading squad won their county championship this Saturday. Congratulations to the Cavaliers cheerleaders. Good job on a great season and being the Carroll County JV cheerleading championships for the season. On to beautification, there was not a meeting. The next meeting is March 15th, 7 o'clock, Town Hall. But again, I want to point out beautification has a little Facebook page that shows you they're still doing stuff. They're nonstop moving. So check out their Facebook page. Winter still hasn't stopped them. They're still out there beautifying our town. And then streets and roads, we met on January 25th. A lot of collaboration with the Mount Airy Police Department. Thank you to the chief for filling in and coordinating with us and working on the speed and traffic concerns around town and around Chick-fil-A and your increased presence. And we also want to thank Department of Public Works for the increased signage around Chick-fil-A, the delineators, those are those metal poles that I now see are still getting picked off and taken out. So I'm going to guess we're going to have to get more of those as I look at Barney. Updated streets and traffic, speed and traffic studies are on the town website. I need to email to somebody to get the latest update to get that put up there. I think it's Melissa. That'll be up there along with our agendas and minutes. The next meeting, because we're every other month, will be March 29th, 6:30. Again, if anybody has any concerns, comments, questions, go to the town website, go to Streets and Roads, hit the little button, send it in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Water Sewer Commission and Mount Airy Sustainability Commission, that is myself. On February 2nd, the Water Sewer Commission met in person here at Town Hall. They took time, reviewed and analyzed rainfall and wastewater treatment plant numbers. There was discussion around some future public service announcements for Ashley to work on as far as residential stormwater management. There was a lengthy discussion about PFAS, the proposed state law, State Bill 273, and that will be moving on to eliminate it from firefighting equipment with some exceptions, of course. MDE proposed to add stormwater capture and conveyance to stormwater management regulations, and there was some discussion as that as well. In February, the WRCC will review water resource elements and some new guidelines. Additional requirements are stormwater and climate controls. My next meeting for that is March 2nd at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. I also just want to give an update that the community garden is progressing and moving still forward. That can be found on Rising Ridge Road. My next meeting for Mount Airy Sustainability Commission will be next month. Tom, Town Attorney report.
Since we last met, I worked on the ordinances that were on the agenda tonight, at least some of them. I attended the Planning Commission meeting as well. Also, the proposal we discussed last time regarding the property or the property needed to expand or widen Prospect Road is in the hands of the owner of that property. And then we also discussed the stormwater management issue for Twin Ridge. I have a couple of loose ends before I finalize a communication in that regard. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Council members received the town administrator report, code enforcement, and zoning for the last 3 months, I believe. At this time, I'll make a motion for adjourn. Is there a second? Councilwoman Reed seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a great evening, Mount Airy.